It's not inspiration, it's concentration more. And it's to do with developing skills of concentration. And I think that's something which is one of the few things I think about being a writer that you get better at with time. There are things that you would perhaps don't get better at. I mean, energy is something which maybe declines. But I think concentration, focus, the ability to shut out the extraneous and focus on what you're doing. I think the more you do it, the better you get at it. I think that's true, and I think it's also true that, and I think I've heard other writers say it too, that when you write, you in a way write out of what you think of as your best self. That the part of you that is lacking in foibles and weaknesses and egotism and vanities and so on. You're just trying to really say something as truthful as you can out of the best that you have in you. And so and somehow the physical act of doing it is the only way you have of having access to that self. I mean, it's when you're not physically writing, the key, you don't have the key to that door, but when you get in, speaking for me, when I get into a state of properly concentrated attention, then I do think I think of that as my best self, the self that does that, and I mean, I wish I had access to it the rest of the time, but at least I can find my way to it through that. It's not inspiration. I think inspiration is nonsense, actually. Every so often, I mean, like one day in 20 or something, you will have a day when the work seems to just flow out of you, and you feel lucky. I mean, you feel and often surprised, and you don't quite know why it is working like that. And on days like that, it's easy to believe in a kind of inspiration. But most of the time, it's not like that. Most of the time, it's. I mean, I wish there were more of those days, but most of the time it's a lot slower and more exploratory, and it's more a process of discovering, what you have to do than just simply have it arrive like a flame over your head, So I do think it's to do with concentration, it's to do with paying attention. I mean, I think the business of writing has a great deal of it is the business of paying attention to your characters, to the world they live in, to the story you have to tell, but just a kind of deep attention. And out of that, if you pay attention properly, the story will tell you what it needs.